So, singer-songwriter Ed Sheeran, he's now been cleared of any copyright infringement claims. He was vindicated. I've been using that word a lot lately, but the jury came out with their verdict of not guilty. So, recap: this was over the Marvin Gaye's "Let's Get It On" song, and then he was sued by plaintiffs over his 2014 hit "Thinking Out Loud."
Yeah.
Okay, so they're saying you ripped off the Marvin Gaye song. He's saying I absolutely did not. And so they had this big long trial, which is very expensive. You know, typically you're going to pay lawyers hundreds of thousands of dollars and attorney's fees to even get to trial. And then the trial itself is incredibly expensive. So, you know, he took the stand had a couple of things to say, right? So the first is, and I thought this was notable, he literally played his guitar to the
Yeah,
jury.
they made him do like a few seconds of his song and then a few seconds of him singing, I guess, the Marvin Gaye song or something. Like,
Yeah, and so what this was over essentially was, you know, this was going to be such a prolific case if the plaintiffs won because it was basically over the chord progressions. They
right.
go, well, 3 out of the 4 chords that he put in his song are similar to the Marvin Gaye song, and it's kind of, you know, in essence feels like the Marvin Gaye song. So therefore, it's plagiarism, it's copyright infringement. And so he busts out his guitar, which I thought was smart for 2 reasons. One, he's like, listen to the chords, you know, now listen to the other chords,
And if it does
and
not fit, you must acquit. The glove.
that's funny. But then the other reason why I thought it was really smart as a tactic is that a lot of people really like him. And there's something about a guy with his acoustic guitar playing that makes him likable. So by doing that, he made himself likable to the jury. So I don't know if that's what the attorneys were thinking, but that's what I would have done.
I know I'm singing that Marvin Gaye song a little off key. You can,
Oh, that's
I'll be
funny.
honest, that's
That's
what I'm
funny.
saying. It's like, you know, you're giving him control of the murder weapon and going, the glove doesn't fit. See, it's not the same.
Well, you know, and then he's trying to compete with, well, the plaintiff's witness had gotten up there and
Yeah.
been like, the first 24 seconds of Ed Sheeran's song is virtually identical. Okay, now obviously this person's opinion.
So weird.
I don't think so. You know, I did a
Yeah.
comparison myself, and I was like, I'm kind of struggling. I like was struggling to figure out what area of the song.
I hear it right away, like on most songs. And a lot of times, or not most songs, but a lot of times we have these discussions because we talk about these kind of cases all the time. And I can kind of hear it. Like, I really didn't even, I did not hear the compare. I was like, that's kind of a stretch. Like, you're kind of going off, like, I felt like a tempo and like kind of a vibe, but like, I wouldn't have picked that up. And usually I'm pretty good. And you know, obviously they thought enough to bring a case about it. And there might be some chords
Well,
that are
and it's
similar, but there was
because,
nothing about it that sounded anything like it to me, besides
but I
the
mean, the reason why
drag of the drum.
this would have been such a big deal because we had like the Blurred Lines
Hmm.
song, right? And Marvin
Or I
Gaye's
could hear
estate
that.
was suing. What was that?
I said I heard that right away on that blurred lines. I'm like, come
Well,
on,
and
man.
on that one, as far as like, the sounds pretty much
That's
exactly
got to
alike. I
give it
think,
up. You better get out of here.
but that one was a really big case as well because again, it went to more of
Yeah.
the essence of the song, which is not how we determine copyright infringement. Copyright infringement needs to be what were the words, right? What were the, you know, guitar melodies or the
Mm,
vocal lines? What was the thing that was taken? You have to copy, not be inspired by.
right.
But the Blurred Lines case really blurred that
Yeah.
line.
Yeah. And all love to Pharrell. That was no shade. I mean, I'm wearing a Billionaire Boys Club hat on. I'm just saying, come on.
In a statement outside the courthouse, Sheeran took jabs at the Gaye's estate, accusing them of trying to alter his song in a way for the jury to believe it was
Mhm.
stolen. And he said, it's devastating because I'm just a guy with a guitar. I'm just trying to do my thing. Look, buddy, I mean, like, you know, I wouldn't consider him just a guy with a guitar. I'm pretty sure you are more than a guy with a guitar at this point. But nonetheless, I get his sentiment, right?
Well, I think part of the argument too, I think I read somewhere that his inspiration was more like Van Morrison than it was Marvin Gaye. So I'm just like, well, maybe just keep it down. Maybe just keep it down on who's inspired. Now you're gonna get something lawsuit from Van Morrison's camp talking about, oh, I had heard on the news that you said you had taken from my song.
Besides him, you know, playing his guitar, and I'm sure that was kind of a cool moment for everyone in the courtroom during his
Absolutely.
testimony. He also said that, you know, he would quit music if they found him liable. What was your thought on that statement?
Again, keep your mouth shut. Stop saying, you know, out of, you know, passion kind of things, because this could have gone a whole other way. I didn't think it was going. This went the way that I thought it was going to go. But it could have went a whole other way, and then he's going to be like one of these people that's like, well, I'd said that in the heat of the moment, but I'm not really. I don't know. It just stop making statements. Stop saying that you're going to quit music. Stop like, just see how it goes. And I mean, I get it. You're going for a passionate response, but and obviously it went in your favor. So actually, you kind of hit it out of the park. So I mean, I guess it worked out, but it could have worked out another way. So I wouldn't have done that, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not
So
Ed
I mean,
Sheeran.
look, the case nonetheless does have significant implications when it comes to potential consequences for chord progressions in songs, right? And
So
then we oh good.
no, I'm just going to ask you. So what's the takeaway from this? What should we learn from this? What would you advise? Uh, you know, advise people watching this when they're just thinking because they're being inspired. We're being inspired by music all the time. You can't help but be inspired by something.
Yeah, so I was talking to a client yesterday about this, and just generally, if you are going to write something and when you're done with it, you aren't using someone else's song, but maybe when you're listening again, you're like, oh man, it really sounds like the song that I love and I listen to all the time. If you have that kind of gut instinct, the example I like to use is, we see like the Taylor Swifts of the world who are at such a high level. They now just do their due diligence when they have a song. They're like, hey, wasn't sampling, wasn't using any of your song, but it kind of sounds like yours. So I'm literally just going to give you some of the publishing. I'm literally just going to give you some of the
Mm,
royalties. So it's, be prepared to defend your work, right? If you are going to stick with it and to be like, no, I didn't take from someone else. If you are taking from someone else and you're like, oh, I'll just use, all the chords and I'll just change one thing, understand this is what happens. You could potentially have a copyright infringement, aka plagiarism, claim against you. And then, of course, just seek legal advice, right? If you're not sure, take a 30-minute call with an attorney before you go through the hassle of
right,
releasing a song
right,
you're concerned about, of, doing a music video. Like, don't invest in something if that thing's
right.
going to cause you problems.